Hey guys, KnightSeeker here, and welcome back to another video on Cardfight area deck build. It's pretty much a series of videos where I make every deck that's cards that have been added from the update, and see how they are when we have the cards. I know that some support cards that are very powerful will come out in later dates, and I will sometimes need to come back to these decks and revive them. Give them a little revision to see, if it's your first time seeing these things or your first time wanting to play these things, well then, pretty much these series of videos will help you, okay? So, at least give you an idea of, at the time where these videos were recorded, at the time of these updates, okay? But yeah, if you do enjoy these series, do be sure to hit the subscribe button. Also, like that video. Man, sorry, I just ate and I'm just kinda oof. And yeah, so I was just trying to say, if you do enjoy, just do be sure to hit the like, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of it, ring that bell so you don't miss these little series of videos, okay? Oh yeah, so, and I'm going to try a little different method than the pretty much from the past, well, all the past card of the deck build videos I made, which is that we take the deck idea, we first actually build it, play test it just enough, and then make the changes with our friend Emerald Samurai to the point where it's pretty much good enough. Well, until new cards been added from the updates, and then we just have to revise that deck. If it's like a really big overhaul, then yeah, we'll have to just probably give it its own video. But if it's not, it's just like a few, like a 1 or 2 cards just to be added in, just to make the deck a little bit more powerful. Well, then it's just, well, simply not change. It doesn't take that much, okay? But yeah, you see a little different method. I will start with the finished deck build. So yeah, but first we'll have to go through what cards are in this finished deck build, okay? And there'll be some cards that I will be putting the text in case it's your first time seeing these cards. If not, and these are cards that have been a while, well then, well, good to know. Now, obviously we have the one copy of Fantasy Petal Storm Susaku. And if you do not know what this card does, well then, you obviously have not played Vanguard long enough. And if you do, well then there's a point I'm not gonna make a segment of her in this spot right here. So we're gonna make it. We're just gonna do a little bit quick to save time. And I feel like this will be the quickest way to do it for pretty much all future deck builds, okay? But yeah, we have the main guy. We have Stealth Rogue of Revelation, Yatsu, and well, actually, let's start one by one, because this is my first time kind of rolling with it. This is the original Yatsu from he appeared first in the G series. If you have not seen it, well then this is where he came from. Okay, this is like the modern take up. He has an effect that goes like this, and both work on Vanguard. It's an active once per turn, which is the cost of Counterblast 1 and Assault Blast 1. Choose 2 of your units on your field, and you search your deck or your drop zone, whichever one you feel like. If you want to choose 2 units on your drop zone, well, they're there, or your deck. They're there, or one or both. And I use this search up to 1 copy each with the same name of those units, and you call them to rear guard. And if you have searched your deck, you shuffle the deck, okay? And he has a Vanguard effect. It's that on auto. Is at the end of it attack is basically you can attack either Vanguard or the rear guard. Depends on you. Okay? No matter what, this effect will go off. And this effect is optional because it has the cost. Discard 2 cards from your hand, and you can ride his evolved form, which is the Ambush Demon Stealth Rogue Yatsu Tenma. But yeah, you just ride on top of him from your drop zone and as stand, and that unit gets a -1 drive. So yeah, out of all that, you really get a +1 card back. But unless you really manage your hand and you know how to manage your field, well then you don't have much wrong with your hand size until later on in the game. So yeah. So yeah, that's what this the base Yasuo's effect is. We had the Tenma, Yasuo Tenma. What his effect does? Well, he has the same thing as the original, except on his second ability, it's a rear guard effect. So let's start with Vanguard. Vanguard, active, once per turn, cost, counter +1. Choose one of your rear guards, or really one of your units, basically Tenma himself. Search your deck, or your drop zone, the same thing as base Yatsu. For up to one copy with the same name as that unit, call it the rear guard, and if you search your deck, shuffle your deck. Same thing as Yasuo, sure you get one last thing, but hey, it costs now 1 counter blast, and you don't have to really like you need to have 2 units out. You can just have 1 unit and you can just copy it. Simple. He does have a rear guard effect, which is auto. Oh, sorry. Oh. Sorry. But yeah, he has an effect which said when it attacks, this unit gets plus 10k, alright? Until the end of that battle. So it's a really good power up to get over those, basically a 4-stack, the 4-stack base power. And he does have an effect at the end of that battle, retire this unit. So really, this is a mandatory thing. So as soon as he attacks, he just vanishes. And then, once you retire him, you just choose one of your opponent's rear guards, and your opponent puts that unit to the bottom of his or her deck. Okay? Hold on. Sorry, my mouse was kind of a little bit. But yeah, the reason why is that it's a good combo. It's basically you get free attacks, basically 1, 2, and 3, from just these 2 cards alone, okay? And plus, thanks to Tenma's second ability, you can, it's basically you're not saying to the drop zone where they can be picked up later. Sometimes you put them to the bottom of the deck, where with some decks, it's kind of tough. Because if they already use up pretty much most of their resources in the early game, just to get all the searching done, well then they just pretty much lost all that resource gone to waste, in a way. Also, in case they need that unit, they had to spend that resource again to get it back. Which, who knows, may mess up their deck orders they may have liked, or which they didn't want to change, because now they don't know if what's now the new order. So yeah, it's a really good effect. I've been playtesting this deck a little bit. I know that it can win the early game, with enough attacks, sure. As you rewrite Tenma, just this Tenma, over and over, you do get more XL markers, XL2 really. And to the point that you have enough attacks where, obviously, the trigger lineup really supports this. With this deck, it's really easy, in a way, it's pretty easy to really swarm the field with just your units. Believe me, because as a lot of units need all the same copies of themselves just for their effects to work. For a grade 2 lineup. Okay, we'll make it quick. There's gonna be one thing. If it's just a vanilla card, it will not have its own little distinction, as it's just a pure vanilla. Okay? So yeah, I talked with Emerald Samurai. Until we get the new grade 2 support for Murakumo, this is what we have to work with, which is obviously Stealth Dragon, Shishaku, Shogaro. I don't know how you say it because I cannot speak good Japanese or Chinese or Vietnamese. I don't know. What was like Japanese? But yeah, I went with the free copies of Swift Archer Asumi. And I think he's not going to be in this part of this. He's not going to be shown with his own little box, as it's not too much of a read, and it's also, if you play the game long enough, at the very start of the standard, you should know what this guy already does. Okay? But if you don't, well then, oh, I forgot to say, this guy says he has no inner, he has no shield, but he has a 12k base, so he's good at hitting, other XLs and protectors. But yeah, with the Swift Archer, obviously he has all of his effects are work on both Vanguard and Rear. And it goes like this. Once it continues, which is during your turn, if you have 4 more rear guards, this unit gets +1. So basically, this can help you get over base 4-stack base 4-stack clans. And his artifact is that when playing, choose one of your units, you could choose him, since it doesn't say other, which means you could just choose him himself. And that unit can even attack units in the back row of that turn. So basically, it basically becomes the bar reap. You know, if you were to remember the very, very old days, it can now attack the back row, basically sniping some of those, well, probably important grade 2s, which is the all-model deck, or grade 1s, which is probably Wingo, and the MLB deck. And we have a card that's really, this is like a new thing, I don't know, for me. It's called Demon Claw Rogue Stealth Rogue Yatugura. Yakugi? I think so. But he has two effects, and again, some cards, any cards that probably people may not know, or they have not seen before in a while, or this is their first time seeing it. I will put the image and the text there. Okay, don't worry, that will be the same for pretty much every card that I believe that most people will not understand, or it probably this is their first time ever building it, and they just need a little explanation of what each card does. That's where I came in, just to, at least help out, clear up a bit. But yeah, he has a continuous Vanguard effect, which I believe, sure, it's okay, but I think it would have been better if it also would include rear guard as well, like, so that way he would give everyone else, well, of him, the same power up, which will be not that hard, but oh well, lose some, you win some, you just have to work what you got. Though on his Vanguard, it's a continuous, and it's during your turn, is that all copies of this card on your both Vanguard and rear guard gain plus 3k. So they become 12k hitters, even as early as turn 2, like when you ride him. And he does have an auto effect. It says when placed from hand, both on Vanguard and rear guard, cost -1, Soul Blast 1, search your deck or your drop zone up to 1 copy of this card, and call it to rear guard. If you search your deck, shuffle your deck. So yeah, really, it's really good to reoccur some of your drop zone cards back to the play, so you don't have to really like go for your deck a lot if you're kind of low on them, or it's like really late in the game, and you just basically need all the help you can get, so he can just bring those units back. Oh yeah, that's what I got to mention. Yeah, these two can do the same thing. For grade 1, it's really tough until we get the Murakumo version of the very standard grade 1 that everyone has gone for, which is place my hand, look at the top 5, and look at the top 5, and then find a grade 3. You find it, you put it in your hand, and you discard 1 card from your hand. Good, because at least it kind of fills out your deck a little bit. You get discard 1 card from your hand, which basically, that's probably 1 free unit already there, so you don't have to worry about it being in your hand all the time. And again, with those, every time you go second, free skill use. So yeah, here's are the grade 1s I got. For this grade 1, we got Stealth Rogue Asami Jarajama. He has a good effect. I think it's the same thing as like Edge of Darkness, but it's different. It's that when placed on the Vanguard circle, draw 1 card, and put a card from your hand to the bottom of your deck. So basically, this is one of your pretty much many ways. This is probably your only few ways you can put triggers back. But this is only in the very first ride of the game. That's it. Once that's it, you gotta make sure you pick the right cards for that. Either you want to put the heel or you want to put your front. Okay. But yeah, it also has a nice active effect, which I think I should actually place him more often if I had him. And it goes like this. Active on rear guard once per turn, cost counterblast 1, and one of your vanguards gain plus 10k until end of turn. So basically, if you were on base Yatsu, then basically he can attack with no boost, come back as a Tenma, then with the boost of Jara, and he can still attack, which is pretty much no problem. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, we do have 2 copies of Stealth Dragon Hatsumitsu Blazer. I'm not sure like everyone knows it, but I'll just put it up here just in case. But he has an effect of active rear guard, cost Caramel's 1 puts you into your soul, and 3 of your units with the same name as your Vanguard. Now I'm reading it again. Is kind of tough now. It said it gains plus 5k, and then if 3 got 5, if all 3 of them got the plus 5, you draw extra card. I believe you have to do this on the very first time you were pretty much you ride normal 10 Yatsu. Because that is tough. Because after the game goes on, your Vanguard will mostly be a Yatsu, and most likely be now Tenma. Which means you gotta figure out how you're gonna get all those Tenmas out of that drop zone and into the field. Which is tough. So yeah, we do have Stealth Rogue, Totality Shajin. And he has a continuous effect, which is pretty cool. It's that if you have another unit with the same name as this unit, basically Stealth Rogue of Totally, on Vanguard or Rearguard, so luckily this is a Rearguard skill. So basically they're only meant to be on Rearguard. Ooh. This unit get plus 5. Since this is continuous, once that condition is met, it's just there, okay? For as long as that condition is still met. Also, if you have 2 or more, basically, not including him, if you do have the two other copies of this card on your field, like at that moment, they gain plus 10 rather than plus 5. So if you have 3 or 4 of these guys, then obviously all of them gain a plus 10k right off the bat. And they were on markers, that's basically XL2, they're already at 22k base, ready to hit all those Protect and XL plans. Sure, they're gonna have a tough time hitting those force decks, but if they ever get Defensor Trigger, but as long as they don't get it, they can hit. And we do have the Yatsu's like support card, which is Whistling Flower, Stealth Rogue, Takeme. She has effect on a Vanguard and 1 effect on the Rearguard. And it goes like this. When placed on Vanguard trigger, look at the top 7 from your deck, top of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with Yatsu in its card name from among them, put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. Now, he has an auto Rearguard skill. Once per turn, when your Vanguard with Yatsu in its card name is placed, basically when you first ride, Caramel's 1, choose one of your units with the same, choose one of your units and call up to 1 card with the same name as that chosen unit from your drop zone to the Rearguard. So yeah, it's interesting as I'm looking at it, because I never used her effect. And that could be another way you can at least get another attack, probably as the 10 with the Tenma. So yeah, you probably need to get a lot of Tenmas out of the deck already ready to go. But this is probably maybe a one-time thing, as it says when placed, when your Vanguard with the Yatsu its name is placed, then it's kind of tough. But that's alright. Usually you gotta you'll figure out a way to try to get a few more attacks in the early game. And then to finish up the whole deck build, we do have the trigger lineup. But first, for our starter unit, is Metsujo, Stealth Rogue, Gorma. I had to say. The reason why I picked him because I just like the art. That's really it. And for the trigger lineup, we do have the 4 heals and the 4 draws. However, we're going with 8 fronts. I've been looking at videos. Well, really, I believe if you call the video proxy videos, like, if you know what I mean, then you know what I'm talking about. They had a setup where it's 6 fronts and 6 criticals and 2 draws. But then again, I'm looking like, dude, draws are too important at this, because how your hand's gonna most of the time be small if you didn't get your setup right, or you need to get those setups in, then you really need those triggers to help you out. Oh, and one of the reasons why I say front is because you're gonna have a lot of attacks out. And one defensive trigger is pretty much the same fate as every XL deck, without a proper front line power up. They're not going to hit. That's usually the problem. unless you're against a Force or Protect clan, it's not that much of a deal. But against, Protect or Excel clan, it's not much of a deal. But against Force decks, it's difficult. Because that's the 1,000 point difference that they cannot hit. I tried with 8 crits, but then I tried with, I would say 4 crits, 4 fronts, it was just not working. And then when I went with 8 fronts, it was starting to, it worked pretty well. So yeah. But yeah, let's just finish, and that was it. That's pretty much the entire deck build. So let's just go from let's go back in reverse order. And we'll start from here. Obviously we have, for our grade zeros, we have our starter unit. We have the 8 fronts, 4 heals, and 4 draws. And then for our grade 1 lineup, we have 4 copies of, well, Jara, if I was to say their short name. 4 copies of him. 4 copies of Janja. 4 copies of Tekme, I would have to say. We have 2 copies of Blazer. And for our grade 2s, we have 3 copies of Demon Claw. 4 copies of the Stealth Dragon. The base 12k base 12 vanilla. And we have 3 copies of Swift Archer. Then for our grade 3 lineup, we have the, limited Sachira's Yuko, 1 copy of it. And then we have the 8 copies of the Yatsu, which is base Yatsu, and Yatsi, I think it's Yatsi? No, but then we Yatsi. But now I'll say Yatsu Tenma. So yeah, I already saved this deck. And don't worry, we'll get to Harry pretty much probably in next video. And that will probably be... But then wait, no, tomorrow will be already an update, which means there are some decks that are going to get revived. Especially, and I hope Night Rose will be in, so I can't wait. Now that was part of the difference. You see, I was going to plan on having a replay of one of the win matches I got, but I kind of accidentally messed up and wasn't able to save it because I clicked the wrong button. Oh my jeez. And there was one game I was supposed to win, but my opponent just got lucky with the 6 damage heal, and I did not pull any front. So yeah, I hope that probably next video with Harry, I may have better luck in getting those replays. So yeah, okay, and I think I should add on with my final thoughts on this deck. This deck is pretty fun. I will not lie. This deck is fun. You can just really swarm on your field. It's just, it will have a tough time against certain decks. I faced against, I believe, with Asha deck twice, and I was able to win against them. Not that hard, not much of a trouble. Oh my, if in case you go second, well then be prepared to get destroyed. As thanks to the grade 1 support they got, they just popped off. They just go and raid the party. MLB will be really tough because of the defensive wise. Because how he's a 13k, even without the Blaster Blade and Blaster Dark in the soul, and him being on Vanguard, it's already tough enough when you get defensive trigger. However, if they're 18 base and they have defensive trigger, well then you gotta be lucky just to pull some fronts because they need to hit. And believe me, each attack matters because that will be dictating if you will win or lose. So yeah, and what else? I did have some opponents that actually left, which I don't know why they did. So yeah, what else? What else to say before I do actually end the video? But do keep in mind, okay? Just be aware of what cards you have in your deck, see what you can make out of your field, and just pump as much power as you can before you start the battle phase. Because once you start, that's it. There's no turning back. And I think, and with fronts, you need to have the Vanguard go first every time, as the fronts will actually power up your whole front row. Basically, any that had not attacked yet now have a 10,000 point power up before they did attack, which is good. So unless, and I do hope, like with the Yatsu deck, they get their, and I think they have more versions of them, but I think like one that can actually power up their whole front row, like by at least either 5,000 or 10k, if I would say safely. Like Familiar got one. Familiar got one as well. So why not the same for Yatsu? Because hey, they can swarm the field. Make from like reward them from having they were able to get that field out. Reward them for that, really. And that's really my thought on it. Yeah, before we do end the video, how about I'll give you a question if you make it this far. What kind of cards, or really their version of, like all these cards like Harry and Night Rose, all the signature cards that we're seeing in the anime, what kind of you think effect would you have gave them if they were still being tested? Or from what the deck you have seen so far when you're playing area, okay? If you need more clarification, do tell me in the comments, okay? And you do understand, well then do tell me your answer, okay? So until then, later fellow seekers, and have a wonderful day.